Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you have never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you've stopped by. Today, we are reviewing the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night Eyeshadow Palette. And this palette is so beautiful. So beautiful. It literally looks exactly like Starry Night. And if you'd like to see how closely it resembles Starry Night, as well as how this eyeshadow palette performs, if you'd like to know more information about it, and see what look I create for my initial first impressions, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. The first shade is the shade 1853. Venus. Man. Theo. Cypress. Rustic. Firmament. Himmel. Vincent. Window. Junie. And Nocturne. And with Nocturne, that is every single shade from the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night Eyeshadow Palette. As always, I will insert photos of the swatches, one with flash here, and one without flash here. And here we have a video close-up of every single swatch. Eyes are now primed using the P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 02, and I've got to admit, I'm really excited and really inspired by this palette. I don't think I've ever told you guys, I'm pretty sure anyway, but I used to paint all the time. I was in art through all years of high school. I was in AP art. I even went to college for graphic design. I just never actually finished my associate's degree. But I did take a bunch of art classes, both visual art and digital art, and Van Gogh was one of the most inspirational artists that I ever saw work from. Just the way he uses color, or used, I guess, to create imagery and to be inspired by the stars is amazing to me. And this quote right here on the palette, right below the mirror, says, "For my part, I know nothing with any certainty." Boy, do I agree with that. But the sight of the stars makes me dream. That's just beautiful to me. I think it is so inspirational, and I also love how the packaging is raised so that you can literally feel the painting. It feels like an oil painting. And then of course all of the shades inside definitely represent the outside. I mean, I think it's like almost an exact duplication of what the shades are. It actually reminds me a lot of the Aspen Cosmetics Sleeping Beauty palette. If you didn't see that review, I'll leave it linked up here, but that was one of the coolest palettes I've seen because they actually created the shades in the palette that Disney themselves used to color the movie. So like Sleeping Beauty's dress and Maleficent's dress, the lipstick they wore. It's crazy, just stuff like that. Just like this being duplications of the shades that are in the painting. I just think that's so cool, especially this window shade. It's funny that that's called window because there's only one speck of orange in the whole painting, and it's this window right here. So I love that they made the shiny shimmer shade orange called window. It's so appropriate. So now let's go ahead and get started on the look. I'm gonna start by using this fluffy Wet n Wild P20 blender brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Venus. Now this shade is gonna start just as my crease shade, and it's gonna be on the outer portion of the crease. It's not quite the darkest shade in the palette to deepen the crease with, but it's not quite the lightest shade in the palette to start highlighting with either. It's kind of that perfect little in-between. It's a beautiful primary blue. Not quite as punchy as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like pressed pigment punchy, but it does build up very nicely. It's not getting patchy or weird as I'm building it, so far so good. As you can see right now, I'm just kind of packing on pigment, building it up in that area that I want to establish my shape. I'm also going to pull this out just the slightest bit into a little bit of a wing shape. And there we go. That's really pretty. This blue has now built up phenomenally. I look really goofy right now, but it built up really well. It's very, very blue. Now, I'm going to take this Morphe M513, another fluffy blending brush, just a little more pointed, and I'm going to go into the shade Cypress. Now Little Miss Cypress here is going to be my inner corner crease color. I'm just going to pack it on and continue the same kind of motion I had with Venus in the crease, but I'm just continuing it up to the front and making the front portion a lighter, more sky blue. Again, not the most crazy pigmented shade in the world, but it seems like it too is building really, really nicely. Now I'm also going to go ahead and carry this shade up and around on top of the shade Venus. That way it sort of looks like Venus is blending out into a lighter blue and then into a skin tone. So just tiny little circular motions. Now you can tell that I'm getting a little bit of patchiness right in this area, really that whole crease part. However, that's where my crease switches to my lid. So I really wasn't packing color there too much. I was packing it more in the crease because I'm going to go in and cut my crease. So that really doesn't matter right now. Actually, it's kind of helpful because it helps me see the line of my lid. But regardless, point is, I think if I just kept packing color on, there wouldn't be a patch there because it's seamless everywhere else. So just something to note. Now that I'm feeling a little blue, let's make it a little bit darker of a blue. So I'm going to go in with the Lunar Beauty LBE 5 brush. It's a very flat, fluffy blending brush. And I'm going to go into the shade Himmel, or Himmel. And with this shade, it's going to be my crease deepening shade. So this is going to go just in the deepest portion of the crease. Deepness as the shade Venus. It looked darker. Well, I guess it is maybe a little bit darker. But I'm going to use this shade to deepen the crease all the way across to the inner corner. These are just such beautiful shades. They're going on so well. Now I am getting quite a bit of fallout from this shade. However, I'm not tapping off any of the excess from the brush, and it is a little bit more of a dense brush. So it is gonna kick back more of the shadow off of the brush as I'm applying it. Just thought you should know. And now, I'm so excited for this part. Okay, the shade Vincent, I loved this shade the moment I saw it and swatched it. It is phenomenal. If you saw the swatch on my arm, you know that it goes from like a green to a gray to a yellow to a blue. I don't really know, but it's really, really, really pretty. And I don't know that I've necessarily seen a duochrome that looks like this, specifically like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera, clean up some of this mess and cut my crease so that we can go in with that shade. I'll see you guys in just a second. Okay, crease is now cut, and I only did like a half cut crease because I'm probably gonna have this darker blue tone blended into the lid. So now I'm gonna take the Morphe X Nikita In2 brush. This is my favorite brush for shimmer shades on the lid because it has a slight taper to it. So you can get a really sharp line with one side, and then the other side you can really pack on really well. It's like the perfect multitasking brush. And start applying it all over the lid, not quite all the way to the very inner corner yet, but all over the lid. Wow, that did like nothing. I can't even see it. I tried to push much harder into the pigment this time. Either that doesn't want to build, or it's just really hard to tell that it is building. Oh, it's kind of the same tone as the base. The base kind of turned a gray, blue-based sort of color, and this shadow is a gray, blue-based kind of color. But that's okay. Just gonna keep building and see what happens. And with that shade applied all over the lid, I'm going to take the Morphe M124, very detailed flat brush. And now I'm going to go into the shade Rustic, and that's going to be my inner corner shade. Not like inner corner highlight pop, but like inner corner of the lid. And this shade is going to go right in the center. Wow. That is a very opaque and beautiful silver. Now let me do the same thing on the other eye. I'm so obsessed with this right now. It's so cool and so pretty, and I just love it. Now I'm gonna take the same LBE 5 brush that I used earlier in the shade Himmel, and I'm gonna go back into the shade Himmel, if that's what you want to call it. And I'm going to lightly and very gently work on this outer edge here on the crease. Make sure that the shimmer shade isn't brought up too high, and then pull that shade down onto the outer edge of the lid. And also pull it across the lash line, just slightly on the outer third of the eye, essentially the outer V. This is just gonna help pull the crease and the lid together so that they're not so separate from each other. Just like that. You see how seamless that is? It makes it look so blended between the two, when really all I did was just pat a matte on top of a shimmer a little bit. And beautiful. Last part for the shadow on the upper portion of the crease or the eye. I am now going to use the Morphe M416, another little tiny detailed flat brush. So this is going to be for the brow bone. I'm going to go into the shade Theo now, and Theo is going to act as my brow bone highlight. Ooh, and it's going to act as one very well. Wow, could that shade be any more perfect for this look? It's crazy. It's almost like it was meant to pair with these shades. Imagine that. Okay guys, at this point I am done with the eye look on the upper portion of the eyes. Now we just have to finish off the lower lash line and the inner corner highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera so that I can do all of that. And once I do, we'll finish off the eye look and I'll be able to give you guys my final thoughts on the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night Eyeshadow Palette. See you guys in just a second. Face makeup is now applied. Obviously. I also went in with the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Pencil in the shade Yayo, which is like a silvery metallic white, and it is so beautiful with this look. It just really makes it pop, in my opinion. I also threw on the Spoil Me Clear Gloss. It has like a slightly blue tint when it's very compacted, so I thought that would be kind of cute for this, make it a little icy looking. Now I need something on the lower lash line so I can start to pull some of this look together. I'm going to start by using this Morphe X Madison Beer super tiny flat brush, and now I'm going to go into the shade Man or Mon. And with the shade, I'm just going to start filling in the lower lash line, starting in the inner portion. That's where I want the most of the pigment from this shade to show up. This is where the starry part of the Starry Night comes into play. I think we're going to leave the window out of this one though. I'm just packing this on the inner half. Now I'm going to use the Melt Beetlejuice 830 brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Nocturne. And with this shade, I'm just going to start gently patting it onto the lower lash line on the outer corner or outer edge, and then I'm going to slowly start blending it up and into Mon or Man. Now you can see here on the outer edge, it's starting to blend in with the yellow, starting to go from yellow to the green. Now I don't want any kind of disconnect between the green and the blue on the outer edge. So at this point, I'm going to use the same LBE5 that I used earlier in the shade Himmel, the darkest blue. And I'm not going to take any more pigment on the brush. I'm just going to go on this outer edge and pull that dark blue down onto the outer corner of the lower lash line. Just so I get a little bit of the blue carried on to that portion so it connects from the lower to the upper. But I also don't lose the green hue that I've got going on down there. And now I'm going to take the Morphe, this pointed blender brush. It doesn't have the name on it, so I'm not sure. But I'm going to take just a little bit of my translucent powder and run that along the lower lash line where I've got all those colors applied. That way I have a really seamless blend between color and no color. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera though, since that has nothing to do with the quality of the eyeshadow palette. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish off my lower lashes using the Milk Makeup Kush Mascara. And then I'll be right back to give my final thoughts on the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night Eyeshadow Palette. See you guys in just a second. Okay guys, here we are with the finished look. I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit, let you see the eye look close up, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts. And now, the question we've all been waiting for. Is the Storybook Cosmetics Starry Night Eyeshadow Palette in fact worth $60? By the way, it was a $60 palette. For me, my own opinion, definitely 100%. Not only is the quality in the palette itself really, really nice and worth the $60 anyway, but this is like a collector piece. This is detail, this is time, this is energy, this is three sisters very invested in their brand, creating something that is just so unique. And just a really cool concept. I love that they took the painting itself and made it an eyeshadow palette. Because it gave me the capability of turning the painting into an eye look. Which I love. I just think it's so cool. And the fact that it looks like a book, hence the Storybook Cosmetics, but you can literally use it like a little hidey hole. Or if you want to just travel with your brushes, you can throw in some of your makeup brushes inside of it and just keep the book on you at all times. It's just really cute. It's not cheap feeling. It feels like quality. It feels like 60 bucks. And it's good that it does, because if it didn't, I wouldn't really enjoy it as much. But seriously, the quality's there. The shadows performed really well. They blended really well. They applied really well. They weren't as punchy and as pigmented as I thought they were going to be at first, but they do build up to it. So it's even better with the formula because you can choose to keep it a little softer if you want, or you can choose to blow it out and make it really, really blue if you want. If you don't like these colors, if you don't like the Van Gogh painting, the Starry Night, and you don't like the color and the theme of that painting, you won't like this palette, because that is literally what it is. But if you enjoy art, and if you enjoy blue and yellow and green and orange, then yeah, this palette's definitely for you. But you can take that for what you will. You can decide for yourself if it's the kind of color story that you like. Let me know down in the comments though. Let me know if you do like this kind of color story, or if you'd rather have another painting. And if you would rather have another painting, what painting would you choose to put in an eyeshadow palette? I'm curious. I want you guys to like throw me for a loop with paintings I've never heard of so that I can look up the color stories. I think that would be so fun. Anyway guys, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, it'd mean the world to me if you wanted to hit the little thumbs up button down there just to let me know that you did. Lets me know that you enjoy my content, but also lets others see that you enjoyed my content, which does kind of help me a little bit. It also helps me if you want to hit that little red subscribe button down there and turn it from red to gray. Then once you get the little notification bell on the side there, you can tap that and hit all. That way, you'll know every time I upload a new video, and you won't miss one. Sometimes we even go live too, and those are the most fun. Because then you can actually hang out. We all hang out as a group together. Sometimes we even pick makeup as we go. Also, if you guys like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.